Thank you. Yeah, hello and welcome to the session, What has changed to the UI customizations in SharePoint and how it works today. My name is Corina Linz. I'm working as an IT consultant, but a modern workplace fairy sounds nicer, so that's why I've written it there on the slide. And you can find me also on Twitter with my name Corina_LINS. Before we start, two important announcements. The first one is about the Microsoft 365 Collaboration Conference. The Microsoft 365 Collaboration Conference, so it's the old SharePoint conference, is in March 23-25 next year, 2021. So be sure to mark it to your calendar and be there. Thanks also for all the sponsors for making this event possible. And before we start, I would like to introduce myself. So I'm working as an IT consultant for over 8 years in the modern workplace design. So I've started 8 years ago with SharePoint consulting, and I've changed a little bit of focus in the last year, so focusing more on collaboration, change management, and also with focus on Microsoft Teams. So when I'm not working, I'm a co-organizer for some community events. So I'm working in Germany at MSG Services, and so also in Germany, I'm organizing the community events, the collaboration meetup in Munich, and together with two other colleagues, the Adoption Forum also in Munich and the SharePoint Saturday in Munich. Some of the events now are taking place online, so if you're interested, you can also search for them in meetup.com. So there you can find the meetups and also the online events. And if I still have free time, I'm out. You can find me outside for paragliding. I started 2 years ago with paragliding, and yeah, that's my second hobby. So now back to business. Today's topics. First of all, I would like to talk about now and then what has changed in the UI customizations in SharePoint from classic to the modern design. In the second part of the session, I will focus on UI customizations and design in modern sites. We will also take a look on some demos in the modern sites and to see how we can do certain things. And in the last part of the session, I would like to show you some useful tools and applications that Microsoft and a lot of community blogs and topics that offer you, and there is a lot that can help you to get into this topic, UI customization. Okay, so now let's start with now and then what has changed. So when we take a look on SharePoint, the first version of SharePoint was 2001, so it's a couple of years ago, almost 20 years. And the UI customizations were of course, not so cool like today, but it was, on that time, it was modern. Yeah. So starting with 2003, Microsoft started to offer managed solutions in the cloud. 2006, online services, and from 2012, Office 365. And in the UI of SharePoint since 2012 has changed a lot. Yeah, and now in the server versions, we're already at SharePoint Server 2019, and in Office 365, we always get all new updates regarding all the features in Office 365 and SharePoint. So if you take a look on the UI, I just found a screenshot that is also very not so good, but you can see at the first sight that the UI in SharePoint was not so nice. So that's the way it looks today. Yeah, it's really nice. You can do a lot of things, and yeah, we will see it later. But let's take a look on then and now. So first of all, in the UI, in the past, we had the classic design. The classic design, we still have it also in SharePoint Online. So we had the classic design in SharePoint on premises until SharePoint 2019. And like I said, it's still available in the new versions. From the UI perspective, the biggest disadvantage in the classic design was that it was not responsive. So you could not use it on your mobile phones if you didn't program something on top of a UI framework that makes that site responsive. And in the classic design, you can also find the old ribbon navigation. So the ribbon navigation is the Microsoft navigation that you also have in other Office programs, the navigation in the top area that has a lot of buttons and features. And yeah, it's overwhelming for people that are new in SharePoint. In the modern design, we have it still on premises in SharePoint 2019, and in SharePoint Online we also have the modern design. It's responsive, so you can use the SharePoint Online and SharePoint 2019 on your mobile devices, and you also have a modern search experience. So I will not talk so much about search. I also had a session yesterday about search. It was a little bit more deep dive, but the idea is that the search is on the first side working differently because it's better in the modern design, and it's also it looks differently. I will talk a little bit later also about it. What else we have? We have the classic SharePoint themes. So when we started to customize UI in SharePoint Classic, we have the classic SharePoint themes. They are no more longer necessary in SharePoint Online in the new design, but it's still supported. And there was a color palette tool that was a tool you could install and make customizations in the UI in SharePoint. In modern SharePoint, you have the modern designs. There are already a couple of predefined themes, like in the classic one. And it's also very easy to create new themes. It's much more easier than doing it in classic. And you can deploy them via PowerShell. So it's really easy. We will see it later, how you can create new themes. Another thing is the page layout. So when in SharePoint, in the classic SharePoint, we have page layouts. So the page layouts were, we use them to define a layout of the page, for example, with 2 columns. So if you wanted to create new page layouts, you had to create an SPX file, sorry, and to modify this layout and to upload it and to make it available to use it. So it was really difficult. And in the modern sites, you don't have. You will see. You can add sections. You can define how many columns do you want in a section, and it's easy. And even if you want to save pages as templates in the modern sites, it's really easy. You just save it as a template, and after that, you can reuse that page. So really easy. Another thing. Development. So when we think about classic intranets, so classic intranets were very, very popular a couple of years ago, and there was a fashion with news sliders. Everyone wanted a news slider, yeah, that switches the images. And SharePoint didn't have any new sliders, so everyone started to make its own development. So the mega menu, yeah, the classic SharePoint didn't have a mega menu, but everyone wanted a mega menu. So we started to develop custom solutions, sandbox solutions, server solutions, and a lot of stuff. So now in the modern sites, there are already a lot of out-of-the-box features that you can use. Like, for example, it is responsive, you have a footer area, you have a mega menu, you have the news web part, and a lot of layout options. And you can write additional code with the SharePoint framework if you want. Another thing we have is list. So the list design. So in classic SharePoint, we have, if we wanted to adjust the design of a list layout, we had to use JSLink. The JSLink, it uses JavaScript. It's a code, so you need to have JavaScript skills only to make something like you see here in the screenshot, a completion field. You had to write a lot of code in JavaScript. So not so easy. Today we have the column and view formatting in the modern SharePoint side. So the column and view formatting, you can do it with JSON. You just need to have a little bit JSON skills or cheat a little bit and know where to search and find information. So if you're a power user, you can do that. And there is also an option of the field customizer. So if you're not using column and view formatting, you can use field customizers. And these field customizers, you need development skills, and you use a field customizer. For example, if you have the layout of a column like this one, yeah, a completion field, and you want to have it everywhere in your tenant, yeah, to have it available everywhere, then you would use a field customizer to deploy it everywhere. Okay. There is one more thing. It's the search result visualization. So in the classic SharePoint, we had display templates, and there were also a lot of out-of-the-box web parts to show search results. The display templates also was not so easy. So you need to have some JavaScript skills. You need to have to understand HTML, and it's a little bit strange because you created an HTML file and SharePoint you saved that HTML file and SharePoint created another JavaScript file that was just a rendering of the HTML. So a little bit crazy. Today we don't have an out-of-the-box option to visualize search results. So we have the Microsoft 365 search that offers us a very good and strong search for Office 365. But if I want to use the old search result web part, it's not available in the modern UI. But there is a solution on GitHub. It's a PnP solution from the community, and it offers you also the good old web parts that you already knew from the classic UI. Okay. One more thing, there are also other utilities. For example, I have a lot of customers that used to use custom CSS and JavaScript in SharePoint pages. So in the classic SharePoint, there was a script editor or a content editor, so that where everyone could paste anything there, any code. So this web part, a script editor, is not available anymore in modern SharePoint. And some customers are really very sad because it's not available anymore. But there is also a PnP solution if you want to offer a script editor to your end users. But you always have to be aware that a script editor means that if you're offering a script editor to users, they can add any script there. Yeah, and maybe you don't want to do that. Yeah, and if you need something special in your SharePoint environment, you always have the option to develop with the SharePoint framework. For example, we will see also later, we have a mega menu. We have the hub navigation with a nice mega menu navigation, but not every one likes the mega menu, the design, and you cannot customize it. So if you need your own mega menu that is special for your company, you can develop your own mega menu. Okay. So now let's take a look on the UI customizations in modern sites. So today we have two types of modern sites. When we talk about modern sites, as soon as you create a site in SharePoint Modern, SharePoint Online, for example, you have the team side. The team side, the focus of a team side is teamwork and collaboration. And a team side doesn't have a top navigation. And normally it's connected to an Office 365 group. For example, also, if you create a team in Microsoft Teams, a team side is automatically created where documents from Microsoft Teams are stored. And this team side is also connected to the Office 365 group. The Office 365 group manages the permissions and a lot of other stuff. And then we have the communication sites. So the focus of communication sites is broadcast content to many users. You recognize it in the UI in that way that it doesn't have a left navigation. So it just has it's just a top navigation, and you can activate page publishing for communication sites to have draft pages, and a connection to an Office 365 group is not possible yet. Let me show you shortly the difference between team sites and communication sites. So you should see now my Office 365 user adoption portal. This is a communication site. It doesn't have a left navigation. It has just a top navigation. The top navigation is here. And in comparison to this one, this is a team site. I don't want to change the look. You have a left navigation. And in this way, you recognize that it's a team site and it doesn't have a top navigation. That's the easiest way to recognize it on the first side. Okay, I will go back to the presentation. Okay, so here's also a screenshot of communication site. In the top area of a communication site, you always have the Office 365 bar. So the Office 365 bar is customized globally. It's not only customized for SharePoint, so it's customized for all Office 365 apps. Then after the Office 365 bar, you have the hub navigation. The hub navigation is available only if you are using hub sites. So if the site is a hub site or if it's joined to a hub site. Then you have other elements like the site logo. You have the header area, the header area here. You can change the background if you want, for example. And then you have different web parts in your page, like this one. This is a web part, or this one. Here you can also define the background colors, and also you can define if you want 2 or 3 columns. And in the bottom of the page, you also have a footer area. The footer area is only available in communication sites. Okay. Just take a short look on the global branding in Office 365. The Office 365 bar. So if you want to customize the Office 365 bar, you have to do this in the Microsoft 365 Admin Center. There you can customize the logo of the Office 365 bar, or the background image, or you can make the URL for a clickable logo, and you can define all the colors. This you can do only in the Microsoft 365 Admin Center. All the other settings and UI customizations you're doing in SharePoint. One more thing I want to talk about is the hub sites. Because if you are using, I think you already heard a lot about hub sites. I want to focus only on the UI and design part, what it means if you're using hub sites. First of all, just a short explanation for those of you that don't know what is a hub site. So a hub site helps you organize your content, your intranet, your pages, and brings together related sites. So you always have, you define hub sites, and then you define other sites around the hub sites like a team site or a communication site, it doesn't matter. And in the hub site, you define a navigation. And if you have a team site project 1, you can join this team site project 1 to the hub site. And then this team site gets the navigation of the hub site, and it gets the color theme. So if the hub site has a theme color that is blue, your team site will also get the color blue. And so if you want to set a hub site, you can always do this in the SharePoint Admin Center or by PowerShell. So you have to be SharePoint administrator. And if you want to join a hub site, you can do it in the UI of the SharePoint site, where you are owner, or you can also do it by PowerShell. Let me just show you in a couple of seconds how it looks like. So this site, that's my communication site, it's not joined to a hub site. I have here a hub site, that's the work at Contoso, that's my hub site, and it has here the hub navigation. That's the navigation. This is my master hub site. This was defined in the admin center, and now this, the Office 365 user adoption portal, is my personal page. I'm managing this page. I'm the owner of this page, and now I want that navigation, yeah, the hub navigation. So I can join the hub site by going on the site settings, in the site information. Here you have the hub site association, and now I can associate this site to a hub. Yeah, that's the create your workplace. And as you see here, everything is green. And as soon as I join, the color will be adapted to this one. Okay, let's join it. It takes a couple of seconds. And now, so my site is joined to the hub. I got this hub navigation here in the top area, and the color of that hub site, and also the background color that is gray. Not so nice, but that's okay. Okay, so that's the way a hub site is joined. And now I'm using the same navigation that is available here in the work at Contoso. Okay, back to the slides. We've already seen the hub site branding. So what you have to consider when you're using the hub navigation, the hub sites, you cannot manage this navigation in the term store. So you can manage it only in the hub site. There, where the hub site is defined, there you can define the navigation elements of the hub navigation. All sites that are assigned to a hub site will inherit the theme by default, and the hub navigation, so the hub sites, are not available yet in SharePoint 2019. Target audiencing is now also available. So target audiencing means that you can define which menu item in the navigation, who can see which menu item. For example, if you have a menu item that is only for the management, then you can apply a target audiencing and say, okay, this menu item should be visible only for the management. Okay, so now let's take a look on a short demo. A couple of these things we've already seen. Let's go in the site. So first of all, now I added this page to the hub navigation. So now if I want to change the color of this, the theme color of this site, I cannot do that. If I go to the settings, let's make it a little bit bigger because probably it's not so, the text is too small. So here, if I go on change the look, I have the option to change the theme. Oh no, I cannot do it because I'm joined to that hub site. So I cannot change the color theme anymore. Just, I can change it only if I unjoin the hub site. Then I can change the header, yes. So you have different layouts for the header, a standard layout or a compact layout, and you can change the logo if you want. Then you have the navigation. That's my navigation now in this side, and it's using a mega menu. I can also use the cascading menu, and it's the old cascading menu. It looks like this, but the mega menu is much more nicer. And you can also adjust the footer area. So the footer area, it's in the bottom of the page. Let's go to the bottom to see it. Okay, I zoomed in too much. Okay, so now here you can see it in the bottom area. Here is my footer, so I can also disable the footer area, so it's hidden, or enable it again. Okay, but I wanted to change the theme, and now because I'm joined to the hub side, I cannot change the theme anymore. Let me unjoin the hub side because I don't want it now. So now I just unjoined the hub side, and now I'm free to change the theme color of my site. If I go back to the settings, change the look to the theme, now I'm able to change the theme. And there are in the bottom area here already a lot of themes defined. And you can also define your own theme here. You can see company themes. So I've created a theme GVG, and we can create also now a new theme to see that it's very, very easy to create them. So probably you will have your corporate identity elements and CI colors, and you want to apply them to a site. And if you want to do that, you will not find the colors here, and you want to define your own. There is a theme designer, and with the theme designer, you can just create the colors you want. And after that, this theme designer is creating a PowerShell code. It's creating a code that you can use to apply to create a new theme by PowerShell. Let me show you the theme designer. So if you're searching for Fluent UI theme designer, you will find it. It's just a simple page that helps you to create your theme colors. It's also I've also added the link to the resources in my slides. Okay, so primary color. This is the default color of a SharePoint page, and now if I want to change it, I can just change the color here. Let's make an ugly green. And I can also change the text color, dark orange. And I can also change the background color if I want. And here I can already see the preview colors, yeah? And it also has an accessibility checker that is telling you if the colors are accessible. Yeah? And in the bottom area, you can also see the theme slots. So these are all the theme colors. If you have secondary and tertiary colors in your company, you can change them. So I can go here now and say, okay, my secondary theme color is blue. And tertiary, that is pink. Okay. Okay, now I've defined here some colors. And I can see here in the top area the preview of these colors, and in the top right corner you have here the export theme. And if you go here, there is the generated code. You always have to use the PowerShell, and here it's generated. It's just a variable that contains the theme colors. So the thing you have to do is now to copy this code with these colors. Let me just check it here. Okay, so I've just prepared the code snippets. So you have a variable, the theme palette, and now I have to replace here my colors. Okay, and then you have the add SPO theme. And with the add SPO theme, you can add a new theme. Let's say here M365 virtual marathon and copy it. So now I've just copied the text. Of course, I could normally just run the whole PowerShell script as a file, but it's easier now to just paste it here in the SharePoint Online Management Shell. So you need to have the SharePoint Online Management Shell to do that and to be SharePoint admin. And now if you're running the code, so it should be added. Let's go back to the site. That was the portal, yeah. My company themes was just a DVD. And now let's refresh the page. And now the theme should be available. Okay, let's see here. Change the look theme. Ta-da! And here we have the new created theme. Okay, it will look a little bit ugly, but it doesn't matter. Just let's save it. And the new created theme was applied. So, of course, you can go with the themes some steps further because you want to automate all the stuff, yeah? And you can start adding, depends how you want to provision SharePoint sites later. There are also the site designs. I will come later to them, but you have different options to make the themes automatically available. Let's go back to the slides. That's the wrong one. Here we are. Okay. Okay, one more thing. The SharePoint home site. So the SharePoint home site, I think probably you've already heard a lot about the home site. So if we talk about the UI, there aren't so many changes when we talk about home sites. So first, let's see what is a home site. A home site is a communication site with superpowers. So it's news. In this home site, the news are visually marked, and not only in this site. So everywhere, in somewhere else in a SharePoint site, if you're using the news and you're getting the news from the company, they are visually marked. So you will always see, oh, okay, this news are coming from the home site, and the home site is something like your master SharePoint site. So it could be your intranet home, or yeah, the most visited site in your company. If you're using the mobile app sets this page as the home view for the mobile app. And if you are defining a site as a home site, then the enterprise search functionality is applied. Let me show you what this means. So I have already defined this site as a home site. You can see it here, yeah, because it has a visual highlight, and this means that this site is my home site. And if I search here, I'm searching in SharePoint. And let's go in the Team Galaxy. The default setting is search this site. So by default, when you're search in a SharePoint site, you search in that site. And the home site, if you're in a home site, you search in everywhere in SharePoint. That's the difference. Back to the slides. One more tip I have just one more tip for you. So if you want to define a SharePoint site as a home site, you can do it also by PowerShell. And you can do it by using the command, let's set SPO home site, and then you can set the site as a home site. So if you have a home site, yeah, you have a central location, and you have a lot of other SharePoint department sites, team sites. Maybe you want to make sure that your end users are using only pictures, images, and logos that are provided by your company. And you can do this also with the organization assets library. So there is an organization assets library. You can define this library also by PowerShell. And this helps you to store and manage files and pictures for all your users. So you can define, for example, you have predefined icons for your company, and then you can provide these icons in the assets library, and everyone in the company can use these assets. So in this way, you make sure that your employees will not use images that are not allowed to use, that are not Creative Commons or are not licensed. You can define up to a 30 asset library in your company, and you can, yes, like I said, you can use PowerShell. It's very important that you grant access to all users, because if you define an asset library by default, not everyone in the company has access to this asset library, to this site collection, and you have to make sure that everyone has access to this site. And one recommendation: use a separate site collection for the asset libraries. And you can also use asset libraries for Office templates, not only for images. So that's new with the Office templates. And this means that if you create new Office documents, you can use Office templates that are provided by your company. And so you can also define them here. Okay. Now, let's go one step further to the site designs, because I've already talked a little bit about them. So now if you have your theme, you defined your theme, your colors, you can also use site designs. So when you use site designs in SharePoint, you don't use them only for customizing the UI. Site designs are much more powerful than only for UI purposes. So let me just explain you what is a site design. So a site design is a modern site template. In the classic SharePoint, so in SharePoint on-premises, in the past we had site templates. So there were different techniques for creating site templates. It was not easy, it was a little bit complicated. Site designs, it's really easier and straightforward. So the site design can be selected in the site creation service of the SharePoint start page. So if you're on the SharePoint start page and you want to create a new site, you can use site designs. The site designs are defined by a script, and they will be created for a team or communication site. So when you define the site designs, you have to define if they are a team site design or a communication site design. And this site designs are using site scripts. And the site script is a JSON format, so it's a JSON file. And you can do different actions with the site script. You can apply themes, you can set logos, you can join hub sites, you can create new lists or libraries and other stuff. There is also an alternative to the site scripts. You can also do all the stuff, creating templates and applying theme with PNP, with PNP provisioning, if you want to do that. But you can also use site scripts. Or you can also work with Microsoft Flow and site scripts. Okay, I don't want to go deep dive into the site designs. I just wanted to say that it's an option also to apply the themes and the design to your sites by default. Another thing I want to show you is the list formatting. So probably you're already here that that there will be soon also the Microsoft 365 lists available. I will not focus on Microsoft 365 lists. I just want to go a little bit into list formatting and to see what options do you have. So when you're working with lists and libraries in SharePoint, the UI and the design is not really fancy and special. So you have the possibility to use view and column formatting, and it's also working with JSON. So you just need to know a little bit JSON. And there are a lot of samples available on GitHub. So I'm personally also not the JSON expert, but you can get a lot of inspiration in GitHub, where you can find a lot of samples, and you can just see how this is done and create your own view and column formatting. Okay, let me show you how to do this with the formatting. So I've created here a list. That's the FAQ list. So I don't know why. Okay, I've already played a little bit around. So normally, if you are creating lists or libraries, they are plain, and I have just played a little bit around with the formatting. So you have the list formatting, and the list formatting applies for the whole list, or the column formatting that applies only for a column. Let's go here. So if you wanna format the list, if you go here on the drop down on the format the current view, I hope it's big enough. Let's do it again. Format the current view. Then you're getting on the right side a panel to format an entire row, for example, and then you can define alternating row styles. So there are already some samples. You can use also the built-in function here. And here you can play a little bit around to change, let's make it smaller, to change the background color of odd and even rows. But you can also go on advanced mode and add your own JSON. So if you're going on the advanced mode, you will see here, sorry, a JSON editor, and here you can add your own code. So like I said, there is on GitHub, I have it here. So there are the SharePoint list formatting samples. And you can find here, for example, for the view samples, you find a lot of samples here. Yeah, these are, you need to look a little bit around and go in the samples, in the folders of the samples, and here you can find for every sample an explanation. Here, for example, that's a multi-line view rendering. So you you just need to read what it's doing, and then you have here the JSON file, and that's the sample you need to use. And of course, sometimes you have to adjust a little bit. So you can do it also in this way. Let me go back because I want to show you how to, let's change everything we set to default style. Okay, that's my default style. So now if I want to change the formatting for the column, I just need to go on the column, yeah, in this case, data category, and go on the column settings. I don't know why it's not here. Okay, probably it's not available for my column data category because this column is the managed metadata column. Let me show you in another list because I have a list here. I've prepared also another list. That's the external trainers list. So it's just a list with a list of people, external trainers. That's they have a company name, trainer name, and topic. And I have added for the trainer. If you go here now on the column settings, you can format the column, and then you can change the format. So I've already added some formatting here. It's a preview image and the icon for emailing. You can copy it and say okay. I just wanted to delete it. Okay, let's delete it. Preview. That's the way it looks if it's not formatted. So it's just a simple text, and if I'm formatting it, then I have added an icon and an email So that's the way you can do this with JSON. Okay, back to the slides. I still have just a couple of slides with also with the tips. So SharePoint 2019, the modern experience is also available in SharePoint 2019, but not all the features are available, unfortunately. There are a lot of useful tools and extensions you can use if you start customizing UI in SharePoint. So there is the SharePoint design website, and it's really very helpful because the SharePoint design website shows you SharePoint design principles, how you, with best practices and examples, and it's also linked to the SharePoint Lookbook. And the SharePoint Lookbook, that's really nice because it has a lot of examples of layouts, designs, and topics of SharePoint sites. And the nice thing is you can deploy these examples to your tenant. So my recommendation is to deploy to a test tenant, not to a productive tenant, just to test it. And yeah, let me show you the site because it's really nice. So this is the SharePoint design website, and you can find here a lot of design principles, how to work with site and pages, how to work with web parts, how to brand your site, branding guidance, how to getting guidance to custom themes. So some links are just referencing to the Microsoft documentation, and here is also the link to the SharePoint Lookbook. And the SharePoint Lookbook contains a lot of examples. Let's go here to the examples. And now I can watch a little bit around and say, okay, this one, the blue one, is nice. Okay, so this is an example site for benefits, news, resources, actions. And you can see here also the site features that are used, the web parts that are used, because sometimes you see something like this and you say, okay, what web part was used here and how they do this? And yeah, so that's really very helpful to see. Let's make it a little bit bigger. The site features, the web parts, and you can add it to your tenant. So that's a nice feature. Now, if I go here, add to your tenant, you have to be a SharePoint administrator of a tenant. And if you're interested on testing it, there is also a developer license that is free. So you can get an Office 365 developer tenant, and you can test there a lot of things. So you just need to create a developer tenant. And so here in my case, I'm already logged in. Because if you're not logged in, you have to log in with your Microsoft account, and then it also makes a check if you're a SharePoint administrator, and then you can just provision the template to your tenant. And here you can define, if you want to get an email confirmation, the title of the site, the URL, and if you want to use a specific theme. For example, I could use the new created theme M365 VM here, if I want, the ugly one. Yeah, okay. Back to the slides, I still have a couple of slides. I've said at the beginning that you don't have, in the modern site, you don't have the good old search results web part, but there is a PnP solution, the modern search solution, and it's comparable to the old content search web parts. It has 4 web parts, and it's really easy to use. You just need to have some HTML and CSS skills, and to understand SharePoint, and a little bit to understand search, to make some search queries, and to use this web part. And here, if you're using the search web part, you can create your own designs and yeah, play a little bit around. And of course, it's free. It's getting always new updates and new versions. Okay. There are another thing you have is the SharePoint modernization tools. So it's also free. The SharePoint Modernization tools, it contains two tools, the SharePoint Modernization Scanner that scans your environment and is preparing for modernizing classic sites. It just scans the SharePoint Online. If you have SharePoint on-prem, you need to use another tool. And there is also the page transformation, the modernization framework that allows you to transform classic sites to modern sites and you can use PowerShell or .NET to do this. Okay, so one more thing, it's the Microsoft 365 roadmap. Use the site to get informed about the roadmap, about the upcoming features. So some upcoming updates are, for example, in future, to enable modern communication site experience on classic sites. So this will be soon available. Then we will have soon also custom verticals and refiners in the Microsoft search. And in the SharePoint list, there will be an update. There will be a card view design formatting, so it will be much more easier to make a nice card view design for power users. And in SharePoint and list libraries, there is also a really nice feature for configuring header, footer, and body of a form. Because now, if we have SharePoint lists and we want to configure a form, we can just define the columns that we want to show in the form, if they are visible or hidden. And the order of these columns, and there will be a possibility to configure the header and the footer and a lot of stuff. So actually, if you want to configure something, you have to work with Power Apps. It's also an option, but if you want to do only a small thing in the form, then it's a really nice feature. Okay, so a short recap. You can use custom themes and site designs to set your company identity, and I'm using a lot company themes for making proof of concept, to show, to make a fast proof of concept, apply a theme in a test tenant and have a demo site that you can show to someone, almost for the marketing people that they need something visual and something nice. So if you can adjust the site and just make a little bit, add the colors and the icons and the images, and the marketing team is happy. Another thing is hub sites. Hub sites are bringing together related sites and offer you a consistent design. If you want to extend your customizations, you can use PNP samples. There are a lot of samples provided by the PNP team, and or you can develop your own SharePoint framework solution. And Microsoft offers you a lot of support. You just need to know where to find the information and just test it and use it. And take care and stay up to date about the roadmap and the news that are upcoming in SharePoint and Microsoft Teams. And one more thing, almost all things and customizations that you're doing in SharePoint, you can also use them in Teams. So you can create a team tab and just show a SharePoint site. So if I want to show my adoption site that I've created in a team, I just need to add a tab in a team and link the site, my adoption site. Okay, so there is also a list with all the resources. Thank you for attending the session. I see that there aren't. Okay, now I see that there is one question. There's a question if you can make changes to the color. Can I make changes to the color palette just being a site collection administrator? So you can make changes to the color palette, to the available colors that are available. So the colors that are available. That is only a small set of colors. So let me show you. That's if you go and change the look theme, everything what you see here, you can change as an admin. But if you want to deploy a new theme, you have to be SharePoint administrator. But using these themes, these available themes, you can always use them. So there are also a couple of colors. Okay.
Okay, Karina, I don't think we have any more questions. We're kind of getting close to the top of the hour. Thank you so much. That was a really comprehensive overview of how SharePoint has evolved over the many years. We can hang around for a couple of minutes if you like to see if any more questions come through, or we can leave the session there as soon as you're ready.
Okay, I think probably there will be not any more questions. So I would be very happy if you can give some feedback on the session and also on the event. And of course, if you have any questions afterwards, you can just write me a short message, and you will find me on Twitter or social media.